Hey guys, it's 1:11 a.m. on the 12th of January 2013. My camera decided it was going to start working again, so I figured I'd take advantage of it. I noticed I haven't put up a verse in a while, so we're going to do Ezekiel 5:12. And it says, "A third of your people would die of the plague, or perish by famine inside you. A third will fall by the sword outside your walls, and a third I will scatter to the wind and pursue with a drawn sword." Well, it's easy to explain the, sorry, I'm grabbing a bottle of water. The plague's easy to explain. See, plagues nowadays could probably include flus, and then the new flu, not the new flu, but the hybrid flu. If they'd stop messing with the antibiotics and stuff and just let people experience the flu and let it go and quit messing with it. Germ warfare. Heaven knows, yeah, we need another way of causing devastation. But there's a bad flu virus going around the world right now. London had it. 1 million kids called off one day. When I seen that, I was like, whoa. 1 million kids called off of school in one day. I'm not exactly quoting that it was the same day. I don't know that for a fact, but I heard in one day, or I heard one day, or I'm assuming, I guess I heard one day, sorry. I'm trying to think. I hate when I start talking before my brain thinks about what I want to say. Because then I look like an idiot sitting here going, But, 1 million kids caught off because they all had the flu. Now it's like, wow. And it's already hit New York, and everybody here in the house has had it. Douglas works at a school, so anytime any of those kids are sick, he brings it home. So, but there's a plague, or a type of a plague. Famine. Last year was one of the hottest that we've had on record. Crops didn't grow. We had a bad drought. And us up here that are used to getting the snow and that in the wintertime, that normally replenishes our streams and ponds and that, and the farmers and that. And it worse because last winter there was no snow, really. And there wasn't as much as normal. This year there was, so far, has only been that storm that's gone through here that I believe everybody's had it gone through and hit. And I think we've had snow for maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks max. And I believe it was the whole time the kids were out of school, so I don't believe any of them called off this year. Well, 2012 anyways. And as it is right now, it's 49 degrees out on the 12th of January at 1:17 in the morning. What? Are you serious? Yes. I keep looking over at my weather thing. But, I mean, so we didn't have the snow that replenished our ponds or anything, so we had drought. And so did everybody else, but I was just saying, giving a reference. And so there's the famine because corn and rice and grain and that. If I remember correctly from one of the many videos that I have been educating myself with, a lot of places had to buy more grain than usual this past year because of the droughts and that. So there's the plague and the famine. I mean, I know there's billions, it's over millions of people that die every day of starvation. And the Queen of England could stop it. That greedy, Nicole saying, when you're ranting ones, this is the Bible, you will be good. So, and a third I will scatter to the winds and pursue with a drawn sword. Well, with drawn sword. He's going to scatter them to the winds. So, think of like tornadoes, how they scatter everything. So, pretty much tornadoes are going to scatter everything. Sorry, I had an edge. Sorry. Last year was another record breaker for tornadoes too. I think we had the record-breaking number in one day. And it was over 100 tornadoes in one day last year. And he will pursue with a drawn sword. Well, I don't need to draw you a picture of that, do I? Wait, I think I get a picture of that. Hang on. But the cross references, the first one will be Revelation 6:8, which is, I looked, and there before me was a pale horse. Its rider was named Death, and Hades was following close behind him. Alright, well, there's the first horse. I do have one. I can't believe what you're sword. Where's the sword, guys? There's the sword. There's a little handle. And the sword. And the beautiful drawing, huh? You should see the one where I have it, where it looks like the key went flying into the volcano. And no, I'm not joking, I drew that. But, well, I'm looking for that all. And there before me was a pale horse. Oh, white horse. That's death. And he was given the power over a fourth of the earth to kill by sword, famine, and plague, and by the wild beasts of the earth. I also thought, death ain't the one that takes. For some reason I was thinking the white horse, the pale horse, also took peace, but I don't have that wrote down, so it must not. Sorry. Alright. Well, and again, there's the famine, plague, the wild beast of the earth. I don't know. I'm assuming that it's just regular animals. It says wild beasts of the earth. As I would assume, or I am assuming, that it would mean wild animals, that maybe they're going to get crazy, demonically possessed, possibly. Cujo. Have you seen Cujo? Rabies. Stuff like that. Have you seen a raccoon with rabies or any animal with rabies? A wild beast? Quite possibly. And death, of course, being his name. He is given power over a fourth of the earth to kill. He can kill a fourth of the earth by sword. So when the pale horse comes charging in, he's going to annihilate a fourth of humankindness. Everybody needs more of humankind. Humanity. Can't even say that because there ain't much humanity either. People. No, because they don't act like people. How about the two-legged beast? No, because I'm not a beast. Alright, we'll stick with people. So, sorry. So, he's given power to kill a fourth of mankind. And no, and it's not going to be the evil ones. He's not going to kill the evil ones. He's going to take the good ones, more than likely. Or at least part good. I'm assuming that he's not going to be able to take out. No. He's given dominion over a fourth, so it doesn't say what that fourth is. It just says given power over a fourth of the earth to kill. It does not say Jews, Israelites, United States of American citizens. It says a fourth of the earth. So, wow, this one's going to be a lot longer than what I expected. Sorry guys, I'm just rambling on, ain't I? But these ain't easy. You know, it's just not a touch and go subject. I mean, if you don't understand it, how do you expect to follow it? Which I understand that, because I have a hard time. Like Jeremiah 13:24, our next reference. It says, I will scatter you like chaff, 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 driven by the desert wind. I'm assuming it's like you know how your face and that gets really, really chaffed, and red if you're out in a really bad windstorm and that. That's what I'm assuming it would be. Alright, and then we got Jeremiah 15:2 that says, and if they ask you, where shall we go? Tell them, this is what the Lord says. Those destined for death, to death. Those for the sword, to the sword. Those to starvation, to starvation. Those for captivity, to captivity. So, where we're destined to go is where we'll go. If we're destined to die, we'll die. Whether it's by sword, starvation, or if we're just going to be held in captivity. And with those easy references. Jeremiah 21:9. Whoever stays in this city will die by the sword, famine, or plague. But whoever goes out and surrenders to the Babylonians who are besieging you will live. He will escape with his life. Get out of Babylon. Whosoever stays in the city, Babylon, will die by the sword, famine, or plague. And Babylon being the church. Because the church is leading everybody astray. Sorry, my cat's down on my feet. They're teaching people not so much by the Bible. The Pope in that has decided that they are going to change whatever, however they feel. And then everybody else, all of his sheep will follow right behind and do what he says. That's why the church is Babylon in this instant. It's also the United States, but they're not talking about it being the United States, they're talking about the church. But whoever goes out and surrenders to the Babylonians who are besieging you will live. The Babylonians are the Gentiles, are the ones that are out here, and all of us out here saying, hey, get out of Babylon, she'll kill you. Hey, I'm a Babylonian. But that is what that is in reference to. Saying, if you listen and understand, oh wait, the church is telling us wrong, or, Sunday worship is wrong. God did not worship on the, he did not rest on the first day of the week. No, he started his work on day 1. He rested on day 7. Saturday, not Sunday. Get out of Babylon. Get out of the church, people. The churches will lead you astray. He will escape with his life. Jeremiah 24:10. I will send the sword, famine, and plague against them until they are destroyed from the land I gave to them and their fathers. He's talking about the Israelites. And I did tell you this was Jeremiah 24:10, right? I will send the sword, famine, and plague against them until they are destroyed from the land I gave to them and their fathers. Who else could it be but the Israelites? Jeremiah 43:10. And I think I've explained sword, famine, and plague enough for you to understand what that means, so it's pretty self-explanatory there. Yeah, I can't speak tonight. Jeremiah 43:10. Then say to them, this is what the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, says. I will send for my servant. I can picture the way it's supposed to sound and come out, but I know I'm not going to say it right. Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and I will set his throne over these stones I have buried here. He will spread his royal canopy above them. This is what the Lord Almighty God says to Israel. I will send for my servant Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and I will set his throne over these stones I have buried here. He will spread his royal canopy over them. Well, he's telling them that he's going to send for his servant and the king of Babylon, and he will put his throne over these stones, which I'm assuming will be back over in Israel. What stones? Honestly, I'm not sure if they're in reference to any certain stones or not. I'm assuming it's maybe in regards to the temple again, the third temple, that it has to be known because, no. I'm not actually sure, guys. I will set his throne over these stones I have buried here. He will spread his royal canopy over them. Well, that's a tent. And he's gonna put his chair over some stones and then put his canopy over him. Alright. Maybe we can, Jeremiah 43:11 says, he will come and attack Egypt, bringing death to those destined for death, captivity to those destined for captivity, and the sword to those destined for the sword. No. That's just gonna tell us that he's gonna come and attack Egypt, bringing death to those who are destined for death, captivity for all the ones destined for captivity, and the sword will kill the ones who are destined to die by the sword. And Jeremiah 44:27 says, for I am watching over them for harm, not for good. The Jews in Egypt will perish by sword and famine until they are all destroyed. It's watching over them to harm them, not for good. And saying the Jews in Egypt will perish by the sword and famine until they are all destroyed. Ezekiel 5:2 says, when the days of your siege come to an end, burn a third of your hair with fire inside the city. Take a third and strike it with a sword all around the city, and scatter a third to the wind, for I will pursue them with the drawn sword. When the days of your siege comes to an end, when your rule comes to an end, burn a third of the hair with fire inside the city. Take a third and strike it with the sword to cut it all around the city, and scatter a third to the wind, for I will pursue them with the drawn sword. I'm assuming that here is being in reference to his, or the rebels, if you want to call them that are still with you when your siege comes to an end. And he's saying he's gonna burn a third of them inside the city. He's gonna take and cut a third of them with the sword, and scatter a third of them in the wind to pursue and kill with the drawn sword. And this wasn't very, yes, it does help you understand a third of your people will die of the plague or perish by famine inside you. A third will fall by the sword outside your walls, and a third I will scatter through the wind and pursue with the drawn sword. It does, those references do help to understand that. A third of people will die by plague or perish by famine inside of you, meaning inside of your city, your church, or your city. Because it's also talking about outside the walls. So I'm assuming it's a city. And I hope I helped explain it a little more than what it sounded like I did. Because I know it can be hard to try to sit there and read the Bible from front to back. It's not meant to be read from front to back. It's a little bit here, a little bit there. Here a little, there a little. It's not in just because there's something way back here in Revelations doesn't mean that it doesn't have nothing to do with something that happened way up here. Or something that's way up here in Genesis doesn't mean that it doesn't have nothing to do with what's way back here in Revelations. Which I've seen some Genesis and Revelations. But remember, I do remember that I told you I chose the volcano with that comet into the volcano. Comet into the volcano. Like I said, I do hope that it was helpful to understand Ezekiel 5:12. You guys have a good day. I'm sure if my camera decides to work later, I will do another one. But I'll make sure my husband's sound are asleep because he's already rolled over a couple times. So, alright guys, you guys have a good morning, night. For me, I'm still going, so it's still night for me, but you guys have a good day.